because the average human being care more about his interests. That is where government comes in as much as your interest is your priority, there should be a system, a working system that will balance things up. That should you go beyond the limits of trying to promote your interest, the system will catch up with you and checkmate you and put you back in the right sense. And that is where government comes in. And if government is not doing that, then people will take advantage of the system. Politicians will kill education as much as they can, so that when it comes to policy implementation, they are going to get Nigerians confused, because it's only the open mind, the broad mind, that can be able to discern what is good from what is wrong. I listened to a very popular influencer on social media. He was lamenting that the APC supporters are not telling him to come up to state the achievement of the government. And he played a video of a tiger who almost devoured a woman. A lot of people must have seen that video. And somebody came to the woman's rescue. Those who are watching afar off will see that man as the hero. But in the real sense, that man created that problem. It took that same man to solve the problem. Now, look at the system. Let me tie it down to education. You came in as a president, commander-in-chief of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And the first thing they did when it comes to education is to reduce the allocation to schools, thereby making it difficult for them to meet up with some of their obligation. And they have no choice. Okay, what do we do? How do we survive it? They have to jack up the fees. And when they jack up the fees, Nigerians cannot afford it. A man who is earning 80,000 naira or 70,000 naira minimum wage wants to train a child to university level of 400,000. It doesn't work that way. So government have a lot to play. And if they don't play their role, people will take advantage. You cannot create a problem and you solve half of that problem and you want people to give you praise.
All right, 16 years down the line, this agreement is still there and it's still causing, issue in the educational system. Can ASU really let it go and start on a clean slate?
Yeah, that is part of what
possibility of that?
No, that is part of what ASU is saying, because you cannot use the agreement of 2009 for this current situation, because they talk about the certain amount of money that should be going to the institution for upkeep and also to upgrade it. And if you look at the cost, if they are requesting for 100 billion for some projects, if you go and check now, the cost of those projects should have doubled. That is one. Then number two, if you look at the what they are earning, as at 2009, somebody who is earning 500,000 naira, then it's a whole lot of money. But 500,000 naira as at today's economy can't take you anywhere. So these are some of the, so they need a fresh negotiation. And let all of us even forget the 2009 negotiation. The current situation, what is the current state of our university? How is their facilities, the equipment, and what do we need to do to upgrade it?
And the way forward.
And the way forward.
Now let's look at the impact of this strike. I mean, if ASU eventually, may do their threats, let's look at its impact on students and the social voices that would be recorded during the period. What do you make of it on the students?
Number one is going to discourage people from accessing education, because if you are to do a 4 years program, you are spending 5.5, and whatever you've not graduate is going to discourage people from going to education, pursuing their future. Then number two, the lecturers themselves, they will find it difficult. I was in an assembly. It's a church program, but majority of the congregation, the participants, they are from the academic setting. And two women were discussing, and one of them was saying that she had been telling her husband, who is a lecturer, is a professor, that did they tie your placenta to Nigeria? Can't you leave? Are you not going to leave? Yeah, she had been mounting pressure. And she said she mentioned different people who have left that institution to other countries and what and how their life is. So what are you still doing here? You have to leave. If you don't want to leave, I will leave you, and that means divorce. But when you look at that scenario, also I was with another doctor who is in one of the emergency units, and he was comparing what others, his colleagues from other working other hospital in other countries are earning. It goes beyond salary, but at the same time too, is one of the motivation. If those people are not well paid, definitely you don't need to expect the best or the student to be the one to suffer it. That is why this issue of handouts, they'll fail you, come and block, short money to pass course are always coming on board. So when you want to cleanse the system, make sure give them everything they need to work. Then when they fail, you can take action.
So how do we deal with the issue of implementations?
Implementation, it boils. That's why I said
It's not just one part now, because a lot of people go ahead and think it's just the government that are at fault for that. And I think we need to also look at ourselves really hard.
Yes, implementation is from the government aspect. They will tell you that they were not the ones. This administration, they will tell you they were not the ones on board when this thing was signed. I remember Ngige was making mouth then that government cannot pay. The government don't have the resources to pay, but the same government have resources to sponsor people abroad for government functions without bringing any value back. It shows the priority. And one thing about education is education and poverty have become two strong political tools. Not until we de-emphasize that and those politicians do something to correct that, we'll keep on having this issue. I'll tell you that next year we'll still have ASU threat concerning strike action.
So now, what do we need the people to understand about the implementation of these policies? Because aside, the government itself, that's what I've been pointing at now. We need to look away from the government's faults alone. We as individuals, we as people in the society, we who are on the other side, so to speak, who are suffering from whatever is happening, how do we actually address it as a people to ensure that this thing is implemented and we hold ourselves accountable? Because we can't keep going on like this. Sometimes you see the government setting up a policy, they want to do some things, and it is we individuals on the other side who have been suffering that make it hard for the implementation.
Yeah, there are two sides to it. Education matters because once it's what you understand that you can interpret. What you don't understand, you can't interpret it. If government tells you A, B, C, and D, and their supporters back it up, you'll be forced to believe. So when it comes to the people, I think we should all try as much as possible get involved, ask questions. I was in one of the institutions I tried to make payment, and I asked for the school account number, and they said they can't give me. They collect cash. Go to some of the teaching hospitals. They don't accept transfers. They collect cash because they are trying to boycott that TSA. Because they say once money gets to that account, it's difficult for them to get, and they need money to run the institution.
So we need to speak up and ask questions.
Yes, we need to ask questions.
All right, Mr. Richard, as we wind down this morning, still talking about education, in few seconds, I want you to talk about the certificate scandal of the Minister of Science and his resignation. Let's have your thoughts on that particular issue.
They've given him a soft landing. They've advised him just to cover the embarrassment on the government, just resign, will compensate you, and the story is going to die off.
You're saying it like you were there when it was made.
Better I do. Have they brought her case? It has gone off. What was this Minister of Finance? What was the other minister that they said she had certificate?
So this is based on precedence.
But does this also not question the quality of leaders we are producing in Nigeria?
That is why we have educational crisis. ASU is threatened. That's why you can't give what you don't have. Somebody who have quality, who understand the essence of education, make him the governor, make him the president. He's going to give it priority. So it's what we plant, is what we are reaping. And also it's part of it. They are part of the returning officer. I will still call them out on that. So when it gets to a time of election, let them know how to do the needful. People who are not credible, do your job. And I believe Nigerians will stand for them.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bright. Richard, who is a social commentator and he's been giving his thoughts on ASU's threats of industrial action. We really appreciate your input, Mr.
Thank you very
Richard, and
much.
it's good to always have you. All right, Victor, over to you.
Well, we are going to the sports segment this morning, where we know that ahead of the qualifiers, we have 18 Super Eagles in camp already. And yes, they are in Polokwane as we speak. First training session held yesterday, and there will be lots more later on today. But then we have visuals for you, and of course,